Hello, welcome to More Yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you are doing well and ready for a little bit of Warrior One playing around today. The stuff that we're going to be doing today, you can do without props, as always. But if you have blocks, I'm sitting on one, or something that can bring the floor up to you, that can be a really useful tool. Also, a chip foam block, some sort of padding that you can bring underneath your knees to give yourself just a little bit more comfort. Because who doesn't like being a bit more comfortable? Anyway, let's start in a seated position. You don't have to be cross-legged. You could be on your shins. You could have your legs outstretched. Sit however feels comfortable for you. And find a nice tall spine. And then for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. And exhale, sigh your breath away. 2 more. And then continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how your breath is flowing. If it feels really open and spacious, then great. Maybe you notice some sticky or choppy spots along the way, and if so, you might gently try to lengthen through those parts of the breath just to smooth it out a little bit more. And then with every inhale, imagine your spine lengthening from your tailbone all the way up to the crown of your head. And with each exhale, feel a gentle softening of your front body. Inhale to find length through the spine, and exhale to soften. And the last few breaths here. And you can keep your eyes closed if you wish as we start to move with our breath. Inhale, lift your heart up to the sky, a little squeeze the shoulder blades toward each other. Exhale, round through the spine, pull through your shoulder blades. Inhale to rock forward and lift your heart up to the sky. And exhale to rock back and round. So a couple more of these on your own time, on your own breath. And it can be really fluid and seaweedy, or it could be sharp and fiery like bellows if you wish. And then on your next inhale, come back to center. Flick your eyelids open if they've been closed. And then bring your hands to your pelvis or low back, fingertips pointing down. Wrap your elbows, your shoulder blades toward each other. A little squeeze of the shoulder blades. And then pause here. Lift the heart up a little bit more. Some of you might stay here. Some of you might choose to interlace your hands behind your back. Elbows could be bent or straight. And you might start to reach your knuckles away from the spine. Now, it always feels like you can get more shoulder mobility if you kind of dump through the ribs. So try to keep your lower ribs knit to the pelvis. A little draw of belly button to spine. And if your hands are clasped, gently release them. Shake out your arms a little bit. And then interlace your hands, press the palms forward, and then up overhead. Now, this can feel a little bit constricty if the elbows are straight, so you can always bend your elbows. A couple breaths here. Again, the ribs will want to pop, so knit them down. And then press the palms up to the sky. Maybe you get that little release through the forearms if the elbows are straight. And then you might do a little bit of movement here. A couple half moon circles with the torso. Or maybe you pull over to one side or the other. And then release your arms to get the blood flow back. And then make your way to hands and knees. Remove any props you might have out from underneath of you. Unless you would like a little bit of extra padding underneath your knees, then by all means, feel free to double up your mat or come up onto a chip foam block. And then sit up with your knees underneath your hips, toes tucked or untucked, hands nice and wide. And then we'll move through cat and cow from hands and knees. So inhale, lift the tailbone. Hollow through the lower back, wrap the shoulder blades toward each other, beam your heart forward into cow. Exhale, tuck the tailbone under, round through the spine. Really press the floor away from you. And then inhale, dip the belly into cow. Exhale, round your spine into cat. So a couple more of these undulations on your own time, on your own breath. And if your low back feels tight these days when you round into cats and your hips a little bit further back toward your heels, and you'll really start to feel that release through the lumbar spine. You could take big barrel rolls through your chest. Just move however you need to move here. And then come back to center. Little draw of belly button to spine. We're going to do a bit of single knee balancing. So if you'd like a bit of support or cushioning underneath your left knee, now's a good time to double up your mat or bring a chip foam block underneath your knee. And then step your right leg back behind you. Pause here because it can feel a little bit kind of loosey-goosey. So I want you to think of pressing the low ribs up to the sky a little bit. You'll feel your belly button engage toward your spine as you do this. And then flex the muscles of that extended leg. Squeeze the bum, squeeze the top of the thigh. Option 1 is to stay here. Option 2 is to lift that right leg up off the floor. Not so far that you have to compromise that nice length in the spine that we've just developed. So when you look down, you might be able to see your toes flexing towards the earth. Next option is to reach the left arm to the sky. Thumb to the right, palm to the right, thumb to the sky, palm to the right, and then press your right palm into the earth a little bit more. Now this left hand will want to drift down. Can you reach that arm up and out of your peripheral vision, so long as you don't feel pain to do that? Last couple breaths here. And then exhale, curl into a little ball. Elbow, knee, and nose toward each other. Inhale, lift back up. And exhale, curl. You can always take it down to just the leg or just the arm moving, or indeed just cat and cow from hands and knees. Last breath here. And then bring your left hand down to the earth. Step your right foot to your right fingertips, and then come up to half kneeling. Back out of the hips a little bit, shake it out, go off alignment, and then get a bunch of activations going, particularly squeeze the bum, belly button to spine, and then shift into the front knee. So your back toes can be tucked or untucked. But I really want you to think of squeezing the bum and almost tucking that tailbone under. Not quite, but you don't want to dump into the low back here. Gently float your arms up to the sky and then chill out on those shrug muscles. Ground the front heel a little bit more, and then you have the option to stay here. Or as you exhale, sweep your torso forward. Arms come behind you. Inhale to lift back up, and exhale to sweep. So a couple more of these on your own time, on your own breath. And the next time that you come up, pause there. Back out of your hips as you extend that front leg in front of you for half splits. Hands could be on hips, or if you have a wall, you could use a wall. This is a fantastic place to bring blocks underneath your hands. And then wrap your left hip forward as you draw your right hip back, finding a little bit more length here through the hamstrings. Now your knee can be deeply bent, and then you're still getting a stretch in the hamstrings. It's just higher up the leg. Wrap your shoulder blades onto your back. Flare the toes, and then peel them back toward your face even more, getting into the calf muscles as well as the hamstrings. Last breath here. Back out of the hips a little bit. And then as you inhale, rock forward, back into that front knee, sink through the hips, lift through the heart. Exhale, shift your hips back, extend through the front leg. So a couple of these ripples between lunge and half splits. Staying up as high or going as low as feels good for you. And as we're moving here, not necessarily getting a deep stretch in any single position, but hopefully feeling a nice opening and lubrication through those joints. Last breath here. And as you inhale, come forward, plant your hands and swing your right leg underneath you. Come down to hands and knees, little wiggle or shake or cat and cow. And then I'll try to remember what we just did, and we'll do all that on the opposite side. So bring the padding underneath your right knee if you're using it. And then set up your hands nice and strong. Step the left leg back behind you. Pause here with your toes on the floor. Squeeze the bum, squeeze the top of the thigh on that extended leg, and a little draw of belly button to spine. Press your lower ribs up to the sky. Option 1 is to stay here. Option 2, de-weight that left leg. Really reach the heel back as you flex the toes toward the earth. Next option is to reach your right arm forward and up. Thumb to the sky, palm to the left. Now, as soon as we do this, we kind of start to dump through the core. So really think of pressing your ribs up to the sky and keep reaching that right arm up and out of your peripheral vision. Don't forget about your back leg. Reach your heel further back. And then exhale, curl into a little ball, elbow, knee, and nose toward each other. Inhale to lift back up. And exhale, curl. Again, at any point, you are welcome to take this down to just one limb moving, or maybe even just the torso. And on your next exhale, bring your right hand back to the earth, left leg behind for one moment, and then step your left foot to your left thumb. On your inhale, come up to half kneeling. Again, back out of the hips or shake it out. Fix your clothes, do whatever you need to do, and then start to shift into that front knee. But really squeeze the bum on that back leg. Back toes could be tucked or untucked. The more you squeeze the bum on the back leg, the more you're going to open through those hip flexors, but also the more you're going to protect your low back. And then float your arms up to the sky. Chill out on the shrug muscles. Again, option to stay here. Or as you exhale, come forward, sweep your arms behind you. Inhale, lift back up. And exhale, sweep. Couple more of these. Again, on your own time, on your own breath. And the next time you lift up, pause there. On your exhale, shift your hips back and extend through your front leg, half splits. Again, hands can be wherever you want them to be. Just because my fingertips reach the floor doesn't mean that feels the best for me. I really like bringing props underneath my hands. Wrap your outer right hip forward as you draw your outer left hip back. Little micro bend on those knees. Flare the toes on that front foot and peel the toes back toward your face so that you can get into the calf muscles as well. You can see I have a little micro bend here, so my leg isn't straight. You could have a deeper or even very deep bend, and then I really feel the stretch higher up in the hamstrings. So go wherever you need to go. Just please don't lock out that knee. Last breath here in the static stretch. And then as you inhale, rock forward, sink through the hips, lift your heart, low lunge. Exhale, hips back, extend through the front leg, half splits. So again, a few of these ripples on your own time, on your own breath. Hands could be on hips, though it is wobbly, or fingertips on the floor, or blocks. Last full round. And then on your next inhale, come forward, plant your hands, swing your left knee underneath you, hands and knees, little wiggle, shake, or cat and cow. This might feel really great. You could stay here, moving and grooving. Some of you might choose to take child's pose, whether your knees are wide or or knees together rather. And still others might choose to tuck their toes, lift the hips up into downward facing dog. So a few breaths wherever you need to be today, whatever you need for your body. It might not be where I am. It might not be where your neighbor is if you're practicing with someone in the same room, or indeed your neighbor. Last couple breaths here. And then if you're in child's pose, make your way either to hands and knees or to downward facing dog. And then bend your knees, look forward, exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat into your standing forward fold, feet about hip width apart, or at least 2 fists distance. Knees could be deeply bent here again. You might rest your elbows on your knees or your thighs. If you have blocks, you could bring them underneath your hands on whatever height works for you. If you want more traction through your spine, you might clasp opposite elbows with hands. And you could sway a little bit from side to side. Just move however you need to move. Knowing that that could be being still. Last couple breaths here. And then release your hands, if they're bound, with fingertips to your shins or the earth or blocks. Inhale, little partway lift, belly button to spine. Back the neck stays long. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more on your own time, on your own breath. Inhale, little partway lift. And exhale, release. And the next time you fold forward, bend your knees, tuck your chin into your chest. Slowly start to roll up to standing, one vertebra at a time. You can always use your hands on your thighs for extra support until eventually you come all the way up to standing. Couple loops of your shoulders, up, back, and down. Little wiggle, noodle, or shake out. And yay, we're standing. Bring your hands to your hips, a little bend in the knees, and take some gentle hip circles. First one direction, and then the other. And then a little twist from side to side. Shake it all out. So similar to what we did seated at the start, bring your palms to your pelvis, fingertips pointing down, feet hip width apart, hug your legs toward each other, squeeze your bum, belly button to spine, shoulder blades on your back, wrap your elbows and shoulder blades toward each other. Again, this might be enough. If you would like a bit more, squeeze your bum, press the hips forward, and start to lift the heart up to the sky. Right? Maybe your shoulder blades lift the heart up even more. Some of you might stay here. Some of you might glide your knuckles down your thighs. Last breath here. And then inhale. Come up to standing. Shake out the arms a little bit. Shake out your legs. And then send all your weight to your right foot. Come onto the toes on the left foot. Or maybe de-weight the left leg. And then take a few easy pulses of that supporting leg. Just warming up your glutes a little bit. Maybe you kick your heels a bumbling forward, keep the pulses going. Again, toes could be on the floor. And then bring your knee forward again. Inhale here. Exhale, start to reach your left leg back as your left arm comes forward. Bend the supporting knee. Inhale, lift back up. And exhale, reach. And then back up. And exhale, reach. And then back up. Last time. This time as you exhale, reach the leg back. And then step it down for warrior one. So feet maintain that hip width distance. So you're on train tracks, right? You're not on some sort of tightrope, right? The pelvis, especially in Western culture, doesn't like being this constricted. So start to sink into that front knee, and that back heel can be on whatever angle it needs to be on. So you can really start to wrap the outer left hip forward and draw the outer right hip back. Supercharge your back leg towards straight. Squeeze the bum, squeeze the top of the thigh. This is where all your strength, your anchor is going to be. And then float your arms up to the sky. Chill out on the shrug muscles. So same thing that we did from low lunge. Option to stay here, or as you exhale, sweep forward, bring your arms behind you. Inhale, lift back up, and exhale, fly. Now these can be super slow and controlled, or they could be full of wild abandon, maybe even rebound at the bottom of your swing. And then pause at the top. Good. From here, straighten that front leg, shake it out a little bit. You might heel into that back foot forward slightly. And then keep wrapping that back hip forward, front hip back, hug the legs toward each other. Inhale here. Exhale, shift your hips back, come forward on that long line. Now pause here. You might hover it out here in pyramid pose, or maybe you fold a little bit more deeply. And this is a really, really great place to bring blocks underneath your hands to bring the floor up to you. So whether you want more of a stretch or more of a strength variation, it all becomes more accessible the wider your feet are and the shorter your stance is. Last breath here. Bend into both knees and then step forward into your standing forward fold. Little wiggle or sway or bounce. And then fingertips to shins. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. And exhale, hands to prayer. Send your weight to your left leg. Little buoyancy on that supporting knee. And then come either to the toes on your right foot or pick up that right knee and get a few easy pulses going again. Right? Even with toes on the floor, you're still doing all the work. You just get a little bit more help with the balance. Maybe you kick your heel to bum, lean forward, keep the pulses going. Bring that right knee forward again. Inhale here. Exhale, reach the right leg back. Right hand comes forward. Toes can be on the floor the whole time. Inhale forward. Exhale, reach back. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, reach. And up. And then reach. And then this time, step that right foot back for warrior one. Adjust your position a little bit. And then whatever angle you need on that back heel so that as you sink into that front knee, you can wrap your outer right hip forward and draw your outer left hip back. Supercharge your back leg towards straight. Squeeze the bum, squeeze the top of the thigh. Maybe you can de-weight the big toe on your back foot. And then inhale your arms up to the sky. Again, chill out on the shrug muscles a little bit. Maybe you stay here, or as you exhale, sweep the torso forward, arms come behind you, and then inhale back up. Woo. And then exhale, fly. Couple more on your own time, as wild or free as you need. And the next time that you come up, pause there. Gently straighten that front leg. Maybe you step the back foot forward slightly, and then keep wrapping that outer right hip forward, outer left hip back. Hug the legs toward each other, belly button to spine. Shift the hips back and come into that hinge of pyramid. Little buoyancy on the knees. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you fold a little bit more deeply over that front leg. Hands could come to blocks or to the earth. And again, you can make this more accessible by stepping the back foot up or wider from where it is. Last couple of breaths here. And then bend into your knees. Step forward, standing forward fold.
Little wiggle or sway or bounce. And then fingertips to shins. Inhale, lift up partway. Exhale, let it go. 2 more. Heel and toe your feet apart wider and on an angle. Toes could be off the edge of your mat. And then as you inhale, sit into your squat or malasana. This might not be where you want to be today, in which case take your feet even wider. Rest your elbows on your knees or thighs. Otherwise, join me in squat. It's a really nice way to reset your pelvis after doing a bunch of single leg work. Little buoyancy here, and then wrap your shoulder blades onto your back. Press your elbows into your knees, maybe to get a little bit deeper into the groin. And then come down onto your bum, however feels best, whether it's hands and knees first, or bring your hands behind you and shake out your legs. It's never graceful. It's never pretty. Swing your legs forward. And then you might choose to do a Pilates style roll down. You can tuck the tailbone and roll down one vertebra at a time, or you could use your hands or forearms, but eventually make your way onto your back. Once you're here, draw your knees into your chest and take a little rock from side to side. Let's end with a very brief twist. Take your right arm out to the side, maybe shift your hips right, and then exhale, lower your knees to the left. So just a couple breaths here. We won't be here too long, but it's a fantastic way to help wring out the spine. Rotation through the spine is something that we don't train that much, but it's so important for spinal health, which is why I always like to do a twist in my class. As you inhale, return to center, reset your pelvis and spine, maybe even shift the hips left a little bit, and then exhale, lower your knees to the right. Again, this could be as gentle or as deep as you need. And then on your inhale, return to center. If there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, maybe happy baby or some sort of spinal flexion or extension, please feel free to go where you'd like to go. Otherwise, make your way into your final resting pose, which could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight in Shavasana. You could rest on your side or in child's pose or seated meditation. And there's absolutely no rush to get there. But once you have found your pose of rest, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. 2 more. Let go of your breath control. Return to your natural breath. Let go of any last muscle gripping or tension. Maybe it's in the neck or the jaw. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. And thoughts may come and go. Acknowledge them without judgment, but then let them go. Let them drift by you like leaves on the wind. Stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.